Well, hello, my beautiful nail babes and nail friends. Welcome back to the channel where I am Miss NailStruggles yourself, and I try to eliminate your nail struggles by trying all the nail things so you don't have to. Today, you all are going to watch me do a fill-in, and as you see, I have already begun that process. If you don't know, you can actually see some of my videos in my haul, and you can look, and I'll make sure to link it in the cards for you to see my Erica's haul so that you can see what bits it is that I'm using here. So right now I am just going in and I am removing my client's polish on the top. So I am using the Erica's ATA T-Rex bit, and as you'll see, you know, my client has little to no lifting. What I also try to do during this time is when I am trying to file down their polish, I'm also trying to make sure that I am filing away down some of the bulk, also checking to make sure that the client doesn't have any lifting. And if you see, there's virtually like no lifting, because if you don't know, prep it really is the key. And then I'm also making sure that I'm just taking my time to make sure I'm taking off all of that polish. Now I am spinning this T-Rex bit here at about 19,000 RPMs on my Young Nails desktop e-file. When I use my Coupa portable one, I do spin that one at close to 25,000 RPMs, for those of you that want to know. So if you haven't hit the like or subscribe button, what are you doing? What you waiting for? Go ahead and hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. Gonna hit it right now. Yes, I tend to be, got my moment in for you all, because you know, I still gotta be me. I tend to do a lot of on the top designs for a lot of my clients, because a lot of them have been choosing polish, but I have been getting more and more into doing a lot of different acrylic designs in that as well. And you're going to see some of my hauls that are coming that is just for that direct purpose. But as you see, I am just taking my time. I'm making sure to hold the client's hand, and I am making sure to remove that polish. As I said, I'm also using this as an opportunity to shorten the nails if need be, by really making sure I'm holding that fingernail and just taking my time going back and forth. All right, so once I've done that, usually people start with their pushing back the cuticle. This is the process where I push it back, because then the acrylic is thin and I can really kind of get in there and see what's going on. And I take my time, and I'm using this cuticle pusher to really scrape down on that sides and stuff like that, because you'd be surprised how much skin gets over there, hunty. Oh yeah. And so just to shorten this, we don't want to be here all day, so I'm only showing you all the one hand at a time. I always try to make sure I'm dusting off my e-file, because it's just good practice, because I want to try to keep out as much dust as possible out of my motor. If you don't know, that's usually the motor. We call it the handpiece, but it's usually the motor in most cases on the e-files. Right now, I am using something called a cuticle cleaner bit. So for those of you who may not know the history of the cuticle cleaner bit, it's actually a bit that was made for people who are diabetic to avoid them getting cut. Because if you all don't know, or you're learning, or you're just getting into nail game, for people who get diabetic or get cut, sometimes they may not feel it. And if you cut them, you can also tend to cause them, they can also lead towards gaining infections and different things like that, simply because they can't feel it. And you just don't want them to get cut. They can't feel it, and it leads into other problems where they don't treat themselves. So this cuticle cleaner bit, what it does, you can see all of that white that's around there. That is literally for the cuticle that is being cleaned, the waxy substance off the nail that is coming up. That is not the nail being drilled away. It is literally, for my client here, the white waxy substance that is growing up on her nail. And I usually take my time. I'm spinning this at about 5,000 RPMs, and I'm just taking my time and going from the right side of the nail right around that beautiful cuticle, and then coming up that left side. And in some instances, like with this client right here, it grows deep, so I got to make sure I pull that skin back, baby, and get all of that cuticle out of there. So from there, we're gonna make this simple, y'all. I usually go ahead and use a medium grit sanding band, and with my medium grit sanding band, what I usually end up doing is spinning this at about 6,000 to 7,000 RPMs, and I go around the cuticle, and you'll just be able to see, you know, it's really easy for you to be able to see exactly what it is that I'm doing right here. And I'm just taking my time to make sure to flatten out that acrylic, baby, and to get rid of any of that leftover cuticle that might be left over. Flatten out that acrylic, and then it also is an opportunity for me to still push back the skin just a little bit more. Oh, y'all, I'm sorry for the ghetto, but guess what, people? I love my husband, and so I had to stop that there video to be able to answer his phone call because I don't really, it's just terrible. I'm not definitely trying not to be a negative Nancy, but I'm one of those people who's like, I gotta answer the phone because a couple of times in my life that I didn't, that's when something really jumped off. The times in my life I didn't answer the phone with my people, so now I answer the phone. But on the sidetrack, you see here what I'm doing? I'm just using that medium grit sanding band. For people that want to know which one that I'm using, actually I have two that I use. I either get them the medium grit sanding bands, which is about a 150 grit, no more than a 180. I mean a 180 grit to a no more than 150 grit. If you don't know, the lower the number, the coarser the grit. Okay, so I'm just using. I think this one, if I'm not mistaken, is a 180 grit, and I get them from Young Nails and from Love Nails, LUVNAILZ, and I actually really like the ones at Love Nails better. They just spin. If you don't know, these are the zebra coated ones. They usually have a little silicone in them that helps keep down the heat so that your client doesn't feel it on their nails. And I really take my time and I go over just very gently. I am not pressing down on the nail when I am trying to smooth down that cuticle. All right, so I do need you all to know that I am really big into sanitation. So before you even saw this, I do make my clients wash their hands. I stand there and I make sure they are with that scrub brush because there's a couple of scrub brushes that are sanitized and disinfected in the bathroom that they wash their hands in, and make sure they scrub under those nails, honey, because we're not playing with no issues or bugs. But as you see here, just using a scrub brush, trying to make sure I get that dust out of the corners and the sides of those nails, because dust left on the nail can cause lifting. Oh yeah. All right, so one thing, after I done use the alcohol to kind of like sanitize the nail plate, I come through with a little bit of acetone, and this kind of helps me to dehydrate the nail, and this just gives me that second reassurance that I'm trying to pull out any additional dust that are in the sidewalls of the nails. And so, hey, we're all learning how to do those things here. Yes, we are. And so we are going in with our feel. And if you don't know, the two primers or bonders in that I like to use as first is what you're looking at here is No Lift Nails. Now you can find this at Sally Beauty. Okay, it's like, I don't know, 14 or 15 bucks like that. But as you see, I'm being very sparingly with it and only putting it on the natural nail, and then I wipe it off before I go back in, because just in case there's some dust or something on there, you don't want to contaminate your primers. And so what I end up doing is just very gently doing that and going in and lightly, like I said, putting it just on the natural nail. You don't need to soak the whole nail because this is an acid primer and it will burn. But I know a lot of people gonna have their issues like, you using an acid primer nail? Yes, I am, honey, because it does etch the nail a little bit. So you want to be careful if you're using this on nails that are extremely thin and that. But I tend not to do that on extremely thin nails. I usually choose a different product. That's a whole different video, boo-boo. But anywho, and typically after that, I go in with my Young Nails protein bond. And as you see, you can see that the nail is still wet. And I'm using my Mama Church fan to dry the nails now, because she ain't never getting this back like ever in her whole life, because it's mine now. But anywho, what I am doing is that I'm making sure that it's dry. With an acid primer, you want to make sure that it dries chalky on the nails. The nails should look really dry. Now, here's where the nail struggle comes in, y'all. Y'all can see my mistake, because I'm going to tell you, because this does happen with those of us that do nails, that are paid to do nails on paying clients. I forgot, and you see me, I moved the protein bond. Normally I go in with the protein bond right here, and I forgot it. But anywho, I still usually don't have any lifting, even when this happens. If I only go in with my No Lift Nails primer, and it's on certain clients. This particular client, she comes in every 2 weeks like clockwork, honey. It doesn't care, rain, hail, sleet, or snow. She is like the postman. She's getting these nails done to go. Yes, she is. And so, I'm going in, I'm like doing my little tap, doing like a little tap drag thing here when I pick up my beads. And if you haven't seen my previous video, what you're doing there too, because my previous video shows you how I pick up beads. So for those of you that have been struggling with your liquid to powder ratio in that, here's your opportunity, because I have showed you in the previous video about acrylic brushes. If you want to know what acrylic brush I'm using here, it is the number 8 Kolinsky that is from Atwood Industries, which is by far one of my 3 favorite brushes at the moment. And I am using Young Nails Cover Flamingo, which is this beautiful pink powder that I would like to say that is probably close to Tammy Taylor's PPP or P3 acrylic, which is my other favorite. acrylic and just kind of, you know, giving my client this ombre, because the top of her nail is actually has cover earth on it, and she wanted to kind of get rid of the cover earth but didn't want to have it soak off a new set. So we kind of came up with this compromise. So it's like, you know what, okay, we'll create this beautiful ombre, and it works because you're gonna be able to see the nail design that she has. So her beautiful ombre is going to be peeking out under her simplified Christmas design, which by the way was not simple because it was doggone swirls and some other stuff, which is something I've been working on. Okay, yes I have. But anywho, we are going in, and yes honey, you see I am like making sure that I am picking up the right bead, and I'm holding it 1 2 3 and then going ahead and putting it down on the nail, wiping my brush, and then just pushing and patting that acrylic up to the cuticle, and then taking my time. And the biggest thing you want to make sure is that you getting that acrylic down all on the sides as well, honey, because it doesn't mean anything if you just got it in the cuticle but you didn't cover the whole nail in the sides. You can, you know, you don't want to destroy you don't destroy the integrity, all right, of the nails. So we going in here, we wiping. We're gonna go on in here with this last bead. But like I said, to shorten this video, I did not include both hands because you're getting the opportunity to see just some of my tips and tricks now. I have not shown you everything, you know, but I'm showing you some things that can be able to help you. So because some of y'all are like, oh my god, I've gotten all this nail stuff from Black Friday or it's Christmas, I need to know how to do a fill-in on myself or how to pick up my beads. Well, guess what? Here you go, people. This is my Christmas gift to you. So the beginner, here you go. Learn how to use it, patting out some acrylic, because sometimes, you know, you may not pick up enough acrylic, and now you need to pick up enough so that the nail has the correct apex and the correct placement, and that it is just a beautiful lay of acrylic. It's just nothing like it on the planet. So there we go, people. We're done with our filling, and I want you to come back tomorrow so you can see how I filed this nail into shape. And my word of wisdom is keep practicing like the previous video, and you know what it is that we're about to do, people, and that is I will see you tomorrow.